come from behind win against the Packers. In what ways does that victory help this team going into the second half of the season?
It helps quite a bit because as a group, we know we're never out of the fight. We've got great resiliency and great toughness. We needed that, and we didn't finish like we wanted to. So to get put back in that same spot again is exactly what our team needed.
Coach, the Falcons have lost the last 3 to the Bucs. What specifically do you need to do tonight to turn that around?
Number one, it's really about this game and tonight. So the past performances, we know what the errors were, and now it's all about tonight. We've got to do a great job on Winston defensively for sure, and then for us at our best offensively is having that balance where we can run it and have the play action game that goes with it. So great challenge for us tonight, but one we're pumped to be a part of.
Coach, thank you so much. The Falcons will be without running back Tevin Coleman tonight, as well as tight end Jacob Tamme and defensive end Dwight Freeney. Now, as for the Bucs, no running back that carried the ball in the Week 1 win against the Falcons is active tonight. So that means rookie Peyton Barber gets his first NFL start, but Dirk Cutter said that both Mike James and Anton Smith will get plenty of carries as well.
Thank you, Heather. So both teams going to the bench. Atlanta right now 5-3. Tampa Bay yet to have its bye week 3 and 4. Saints are 3 and 4, and Carolina beat Arizona the other day, so they're 2 and 5, and the defending champs of this division trying to get back in it. Matt Bosher will kick off for Atlanta. Atlanta won the toss, and the Falcons elected to defer. And dropping back deep is Ryan Smith. He is a rookie from North Carolina Central, their 4th round draft choice. And away we go from Tampa on this Thursday night. And like so many of the games these days, we start with a touchback and the ball coming out to the 25 as we take a look at the Tampa Bay offense.
Jameis Winston, Florida State. Peyton Barber, Auburn University. Mike Evans, Texas A&M.
Adam Humphreys, Clemson. Cecil Shorts III,
Mount Union.
Cameron Brate, Harvard.
Donovan Smith, Penn State.
Kevin Banfield, Purdue.
Joe Hawley, Las Vegas.
Ali Morpet, the Hobart College.
DeMar Dotson, Southern Mississippi.
So they begin with the rookie Peyton Barber out of Auburn, a free agent. And right off the bat, he'll get it, and he will go nowhere into the left side of that Atlanta defensive front. Adrian Claiborne, a one-time #1 pick of Tampa Bay, along with Vic Beasley making the stop.
Well, here comes Beasley, who's been red hot of late, coming right off the edge here, and is just going to play the run as well. We've known him now as the pass rusher extraordinaire, 7.5 sacks on this season, tied for 3rd in the NFL, but that was a great play against the run.
Loss of 1, 2nd down and 11 from the 24-yard line as Winston gets rid of it in a hurry and completes his first pass of the night. Adam Humphreys taken out of bounds after a gain of 10. It'll be 3rd down and 1. Winston in his 2nd year overall, the #1 pick in the draft last year. In those 3 wins against the Falcons, good rating obviously, 6 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. And he had 4 touchdowns in that opening game this season up in Atlanta. And on 3rd and 1, they hand the ball off to Anton Smith, and he takes it out to the 41-yard line. So no Doug Martin, no Jaquiz Rogers. They go to the rookie Barber, Smith, and Mike James, who had been with them and was on the Detroit practice squad as their 3 guys. Dirk Cutter is in his first season as the Tampa Bay head coach. Spent 2 years before last year at Atlanta as their offensive coordinator, so he knows that offense inside out. And Winston's going to air it out on 1st down and incomplete. Anton Smith, the intended receiver, as we take a look at the Atlanta defense.
Brooks Reed, Arizona.
Jonathan Babineau, Iowa.
Grady Jarrett, Clemson.
Tyson Jackson, LSU.
Vic Beasley, Clemson.
Deion Jones, LSU, go Tigers.
Devondre Campbell, Minnesota.
Desmond Trufant, Washington.
Keanu Neal, Florida.
Ricardo Allen, Mainland Hospital.
Robert Alford, Southeastern Louisiana.
So at the 41, as Chris mentioned at the very top, how good, how fast can that Atlanta defense become? And that may tell the tale of their season as Peyton Barber takes it up to the 49-yard line, setting up a 3rd down and short.
Well, they knew Peyton Barber could run. The question was, is he mature enough to be able to handle all the blocking assignments they're going to come his way now in the backfield. Anton Smith, a smaller back. They wanted a little bit more of Barber size in there, and so far doing a nice job.
Third down and 2. Winston came out after his second year, still only 22 years old. Out of the pocket, then throws over the middle, and that's caught in Atlanta territory. Mike Evans, their #1 receiver, making the catch. He was covered by Trufant, and that's a nice 17-yard gain and another Tampa Bay first down.
To get up the field, and DeMar Dotson right here is just going to step out, and Jameis Winston will step up and through, but keep his eyes down the field for that big completion. We have seen Jameis Winston moving around in the pocket in a way that I just don't remember him doing when he was at Florida State. He said he always did it in high school, so it was no problem reverting to that form.
Off play action, good time, great protection, and then the pass is dropped. It's Evans, and that's been a problem for him in his career here, 2.5 years. He makes a lot of big plays. He is outstanding, there's no question about that, but that is the issue.
It is, and it wasn't an issue for him during the course of his rookie season. Last year, it was a huge issue, dropping 14 passes. Just had 4 so far this year, but they're starting to come in bunches now.
2nd and 10, and a quick drop. He goes right back to him, and he leans forward, taking the Falcons defense with him, and picks up the first down. So Evans was their #1 draft choice in 2014. Big, 6'5" as you see, and over 230, and fast, obviously. 6 touchdowns in his first 7 games this year. That's tied for the lead in the National Football League. Quick-paced offense here on this first drive, and so far a good-looking drive as Peyton Barber moves the ball to the 19. So they started at the 25, and down the field they go, and you hear the cannon going off, indicating they're in the red zone.
Oh, for Dirk Cutter, he knows that his team had a great opportunity against the Raiders a week ago. He was very disappointed in that one.
2nd and 6. Peyton Barber again. Yeah, I mean, you're going up and down the field as they did. You're playing a team that commits 23 penalties to set a record, and you lose in overtime.
Yeah, and Dan Quinn knows plenty about disappointments as well. They lost a couple in the last quarter as well, and then held on and made a great comeback to knock off Green Bay to get back on track. Of course, they started 5-0 last year and then saw that all collapse on them.
And they wound up with a record of 8-8. But they were the only team to knock off Carolina during the regular season last year. And falling down, but still making the catch at the 10-yard line is the tight end, Cameron Brate, for the touchdown. Where do we see this baby again? Receiver falls down. For the moment, they say he wasn't touched down, and he winds up with a touchdown.
Working on Keanu Neal on the outside, unless that right foot. And then I think by the time he got back up, I don't think a knee or anything was down. Let's see, did he get kicked? Yeah, he got kicked on that foot. He's going to be marked down right there. Neal kicked the foot with his leg, and so that one will not count.
Nope. Back it comes to the 15-yard line. Of course, ruled a
touchdown will be reviewed.
Ruled a touchdown on the field. Ron Torbert is tonight's referee, and they will take a look at it and most likely bring the ball back. Football being brought to you by Hyundai, an official sponsor of the NFL, and delivered by Papa John's new pan pizza, up to 3 toppings, just $10. Ron Torbert with the call after review, and it is.
The receiver completed the catch and was down by defensive contact with the ball at the 10-yard line. It'll be Tampa Bay's ball, 1st and goal at the 10-yard line. The clock will start on my ready for play signal.
Heck of a play nonetheless. Yep. Just enough. And very clear. So that puts the ball at the 10-yard line. But it is a first down and contact there as well. So it's a first down and goal. Meanwhile, great drive. This will be the 12th play of the opening drive of the game. And this is Smith, and Smith to the 3-yard line. He's been around for a while, 7 years, but has never really carried the ball very much. In fact, I think the most carries he's had in the game ever is 4.
Ali Marpet really staying with this block, but watch this jump cut coming out of here that really made the play. Anton Smith, not a big guy at all, and they've had him running inside so far all night tonight.
Now Peyton Barber is the back. Then on second and goal, the fake. And then Winston looks into the end zone, throws, caught, touchdown, Mike Evans. Boy, they showed you a little bit of everything on that drive. 6 runs, 7 passes, great balance, 75 yards in 5.5 minutes. Then they lead.
Big time route here by Mike Evans, and that's their best. Desmond Trufant trying to get him covered. But let's give some credit once again to Jameis Winston, and his mobility has really made a difference. He's really starting to make plays outside the pocket and making big plays on the move. And once again, the Atlanta Falcons continue to struggle when other teams get down inside that red zone, especially inside the 10-yard line.
Roberto Aguayo, he's been quite a story this season, which with the tail and he lines up for a field goal. The extra point is good for the second-round draft choice. So great opening drive for the Buccaneers, who lead it by a score of 7-0 on Thursday Night Football, presented by Bud Light. Sunday at 9 Eastern on NFL Network, one-on-one with Cowboys star Ezekiel Elliott, and how he's adjusted so quickly to life in the National Football League. NFL Game Day morning, Sunday at 9 Eastern on NFL Network. Tampa, Florida on this 77-degree Thursday night, and the kickoff bounds through the end zone. So the Falcons take it at the 25, and let's take a look at their starters.
Matt Ryan, Boston College.
Devontae Freeman, Florida State.
Patrick DeMarco, South Carolina.
Julio Jones, Alabama.
Mohamed Sanu, Rutgers.
Austin Hooper, Stanford.
Jake Matthews, Texas A&M.
Andy Levitri, Oregon State.
Alex Mack, Cal.
Chris Chester, OU.
Ryan Schrader, Valdosta State.
And Austin Hooper, they call him California Cool, and he looked like it in that intro, didn't he? From the 25-yard line, Atlanta's first scrimmage play of the night is Ryan on a straight drop and then fires, and that's Sanu, and it is ruled incomplete. Former Cincinnati Bengal. So Matt Ryan with over 3,100 career completions. Peyton Manning had the most through 9 seasons, and if Ryan stays healthy, he's going to break that shortly. And Matt, who's had some pretty good years, maybe having his best ever to this point, certainly a candidate for the MVP at the halfway mark of the season. His numbers are off the charts. Second down and 10. Little toss right back to Freeman, and Devontae Freeman will get stuffed crossing the line of scrimmage. Third down and long. Here's the Tampa Bay defense.
Rob Ayers Jr., Rocky Top University. Gerald McCoy, Oklahoma.
Gene Spence, Illinois.
William Golson, Michigan State.
Daryl Smith, Georgia Tech. Juan Alexander, LSU. Levante David, Nebraska. Brent Grimes, Shippensburg University.
Grace Conti, California.
Bradley McDougal, Kansas University.
Ronnie Hargrave, Florida.
Hargrave's a rookie. And Quan Alexander would be the quarterback of this defense on third down and 9. Ryan with the pocket collapsing, gets it to Freeman, and off he goes to first down and a lot more, being run out of bounds in front of his own bench at midfield.
Nice job that time by Matt Ryan. Julio Jones was the guy he wanted out here on this route. Good coverage underneath, so he ends up checking that thing down. And the Atlanta Falcons this year, #1 in the NFL, they have more receiving yards from these running backs than any other team. And Tevin Coleman was a big part of it, not playing in this one, so it'll fall to Devontae Freeman and Teron Ward.
27-yard catch and run on a 3rd down and 9. Now the ball is handed off on an inside give, and coming around is Taylor Gabriel. Had a touchdown last week against Green Bay, runs into the cameraman on the sideline and picks up 15 yards. The Falcons this year, 33 points per game, leading in yards per game. And of course you got Matt Ryan leading in passing yards, in touchdown passes, and Julio Jones second in receiving. AJ Green would be #1 as Ryan on the run throws, and that's caught for a touchdown. Levine Toilolo, the tight end, into the end zone. So that didn't take very long. After Tampa Bay marches down the field in 5.5 minutes, Atlanta answers in 1:49.
Some confusion back here on the back end. It ends up being just a cover 3, but on the outside, the cornerback looked like he was going to jump this route underneath and just left nobody on the seam route as Toilolo went right down the center of the field. And once again now, quarterback's on the move, making the difference. Yeah, I think that was Brent Grimes, who just snuck a peek at that outside route and didn't see the seam route.
Another ageless wonder like Adam Vinatieri. This is Matt Bryant at the age of 41. He's just a kid. Adam's 43. Kicking as well as ever. And we're just about to the halfway mark of the opening quarter. 7-7 in Tampa. NFL Thursday Night Football being presented by Bud Light. Beer with your team on it. Downtown Tampa. Over here, not far from downtown, Raymond James Stadium. Levine Toilolo with the touchdown. Each team going down the field on its opening drive. And Matt Bosher to kick off. Ryan Smith will down that in the end zone. Winston, of course, spectacular in his 2 seasons in college. Week 1, great start there. Didn't play well week 2, pretty good week 3. Not well week 4, pretty good 5. Very good in 7 after the bye. And then last week, okay, with an 88 rating, but kind of an up and down, a little bit of a wild ride for the guy who, again, you know, he's just 22 years old. I mean, when you think about it, had he stayed in school, he'd be a senior right now. And from the 25-yard line, he'll hand the ball off. And taking it up past the 30 with a flag is Anton Smith. So it's our first penalty of the game to be called here by the referee, Ron Torbert.
Personal foul, grabbing the face mask. Offense, number 68. 15-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. Replay, first down.
And that would be your center, Joe Hawley.
Joe Hawley is a guy that plays with, how would you say it, Al, great emotion, and every once in a while will do a thing. He will push to the borderline of the rules on almost every snap. I really like him as a player. He's the emotional leader up front. He makes all the calls. He's in charge. But at the end of every play, you'll see him irritating somebody. That time he irritated his own offense.
Somebody put it. They're going to just check the down marker on the spot right here. It's going to be first down and 21. And now you got a little confusion there. If the ball is out, the ball is loose. Falcons think they have it, and they do. At the 13-yard line, it was Devondre Campbell who forced the fumble, but you can tell that there was a mix-up in the backfield, a mix-up on the handoff, and it cost him.
Yeah, it was Adrian Claiborne who came right off the edge and almost took the handoff himself. Remember, they're on their 4th and 5th running backs now. Here it comes right here, and you're going to see the pressure come immediately off the edge without anybody really to block him, and it just threw everything off. And then for Smith, he was stumbling and falling backwards, and Didn't take long for Campbell to get that ball out.
Anton Smith could not take the handoff. Brian Poole, the rookie out of Florida, who's been playing very well, winds up with a recovery, and Atlanta gets the first big break of the night as they have the ball at the 14-yard line. Looking for the clear recovery. Of course, all turnovers are reviewed just to make sure they got it right, and they did. So now Freeman is the back, and they put a fullback in the game, Patrick DeMarco as well. Off the play fake, Ryan in the pocket, goes incomplete. That's Julio Jones, and of course wherever he goes he will draw a crowd.
Well, you're going to especially draw a crowd if you're only going to run two-man routes. They only had 2 people out in the pass pattern. They tried to go with hard play action and try and get those linebackers to suck up a little bit. It was Quan Alexander, the Buccaneers linebacker in the first matchup between these 2 teams, who was a nightmare. 17 tackles in that game and really shut down the Falcons running game. They're early trying to influence him.
Second and 10. Pass caught at the 11-yard line. Short gain. That's Taylor Gabriel. 3rd year out of Abilene Christian. 3rd down. Boy, you look at that Tampa Bay defense. They were on the field. Think about that. The game last week against Oakland into overtime, almost a full overtime. They played 73 minutes. The defense was on the field for 93 snaps. And those 5 guys in particular almost never came out. Alexander playing on special teams as well. He played 100 plays last week.
Nice to be young.
Not for long. Keep playing 100 plays. 3rd and 7. Ryan contacted as he throws. The pass is incomplete. Looked like Austin Hooper was the intended receiver, but the coverage was good. And they'll have to settle for a field goal attempt by Matt Bryant, who last week became Atlanta's all-time leading scorer, and a guy who spent 4 years here with the Tampa Bay Bucs.
There comes Noah Spence off the edge. He's the young rookie with 3 sacks already, and he got a little pressure coming in there. He could really end up being a good one. He started at Ohio State, got 11.5 sacks at Eastern Kentucky, and just sort of getting into form now here.
29-yard attempt, and Bryant bangs it right down Dale Mabry Boulevard with 6:08 to play in the opening quarter. 10-7 Falcons. Tonight football being brought to you by Scott Trade. Now is your moment, and by Gatorade, the proven sports fuel. And you're looking at in Ybor City, the J.C. Newman cigar maker. Meanwhile, next week, Cleveland against Baltimore is the matchup on Thursday night. Kick off at 8:15. Coverage starts on NFL Network at 6 o'clock Eastern time. So Winston and his group ready to come back onto the field after the turnover results in the 3 Atlanta points. And this kick is dropped and then downed in the end zone.
Well, Jameis Winston and his coach Dirk Cutter have talked many times about the difference between passion and emotion. You tell me. Look at those eyes. He's out there getting them fired up. Now this is passion out of the leader of this football team, even though he's one of the younger guys on this team. When he gets into emotion, that's a bad thing. And that's what both men will tell you, that sometimes he can get frustrated and then the emotional side comes out. But they want the passion, just not the emotion.
Fine line there, and the catch is made over the middle. That'll be a gain of 7. Evans making the stop. It'll be 2nd down and 3. Well, you know, every quarterback, I guess, has to do his thing. Drew Brees all those years. Remember, he rallies the Saints before every game.
Yeah, I love it when you do it before our broadcast.
Oh, yeah, I do it all right. My bathrobe. 2nd and 3 from the 32. Anton Smith finds a crease. Flag down. Back behind the line of scrimmage. Never a good sign for the offense. I shouldn't say never. It's like, 94.6%.
Holding. Offense number 76. 10-yard penalty. Replay second down.
Donovan Smith, who is the second-year left tackle.
Second round draft choice on the outside right there. And watch him. He's going to take Claiborne to the ground. And that's a good old-fashioned wrestling move. Donovan Smith, there's some pressure on him. Speaking of pressures, 36 total pressures allowed from his position, either sacks, hits, or hurries. And that is the most on this football team. So they need better play out of him.
Second and 13 as they go 5 wide. Line does its job. The pass is caught to the 30. Mike Evans is stopped there, and we go to Heather.
Al, prior to the draft, Jameis Winston maturity was a question for the Bucs. So Dirk Cutter did his homework, seeking advice from people familiar not just with Winston's game, but also with his demeanor. And I covered about 10 of Jameis's games during his years at Florida State. Even as a freshman quarterback, he was that vocal leader, standing on the bench, firing up his teammates. And I can tell you, I noticed a real difference this week. A maturity at a different level, calmer, more even-keeled, still passionate, but with the demeanor of a professional athlete, Al.
And Heather, you can tell he's got the respect of a lot of his teammates. 3rd and 5, very poised. He's poised on this play here, but a good defensive play, at least for the moment. It looked like Robert Alford was able to knock it away, but was there interference? That was a
Pass interference.
2nd and 13.
Defense, number 23. Ball will be placed at the spot of the foul. Automatic first down.
And that's been a problem this year for Robert Alford, that his 9th penalty, second only to Josh Norman. You'll see him coming across right here. And they got his hand on that back left shoulder pad and gave him a little twist. Very physical player, Robert Alford. Serves him well sometimes.
Inside handoff up to the 39-yard line. There goes the rookie Peyton Barber. Call it a gain of 3 yards. It'll be 2nd down and 7.
Yeah, I like to play there by Deion Jones, one of the rookies, coming down inside and making that tackle. They have some great speed on this defense now. They just need to learn how to harness it a bit.
Go empty again. 5 receivers all going to the pattern, and the pass is knocked down. That's Brian Poole, the 5'10 corner, coming on a blitz and knocking down the pass from the 6'4 Winston. 3rd and 7 upcoming.
Boy, what a great surprise Brian Poole has been, this slot blitzer coming, but he is a rookie free agent and has really been one of the better slot corners in the league this year. Your starter is essentially that slot cornerback, and he really came out of nowhere, beat out a lot of draft picks to earn it.
And Jameis out of the pocket, running, sliding, first down, getting all the way to the Atlanta 46-yard line. Only a 3-man rush that time. Had a spy on him as well, but he's able to escape the pocket, run around the left side, pick up a first down on a gain of 14.
Okay, Al, would you fall for this ball fake right here? Let me just see. Would you have jumped? It always kind of makes you laugh, doesn't it?
Yep.
He's got to be 10 yards down the field. On the outside, DeMar Dotson and the semi-hold didn't get called.
First down in Atlanta territory and going nowhere, but trying to get something out of it. Peyton Barber, who was popped by Keanu Neal, their #1 draft choice. Neal is out of Florida.
What a nice play here by Keanu Neal. He's going to come up, and he is known as that hitter coming out of the secondary. Watch him get his shoulder squared up and just drive Peyton Barber right back. He's the Cam Chancellor of this defense, if you think in terms of the Seattle Seahawks. And, of course, remember Dan Quinn, defensive coordinator there when they went to 2 Super Bowls, winning 1.
2nd and 8, 46-yard line. Set up a screen, and that's going to be close to a first down for the moment, but there's a flag. That's Adam Humphries, who is their #2 receiver. Tackled by Brooks Reed, but Ron Torbert will take the mic again in just a second.
Pass interference. Offense, number 13. 10-yard penalty. Replay second down.
And that's on Mike Evans.
Yeah, Mike Evans needs to go to acting class here. He's going to come right out here and just block. At some point, you just have to, like, fake it a little bit. Once you're beyond 1 yard down the line of scrimmage, beyond the line of scrimmage, you just can't do that one. A lot of times you can just go down and turn around and not make any contact at all and just force the guy to run around you.
10-yard penalty makes it 2nd down and 18. 2:20 to go in the opening quarter with Atlanta up by 3. Winston fires over the middle, open, and very close to a 1st down is Cameron Brate, the tight end. That's his 2nd catch. Just a little bit short of the 1st down. Needed 18 yards and got 17 and a half.
Yeah, this Cameron Brate's becoming a bit of a story already. Career high in receptions and touchdowns on the season. He really got the opportunity because Austin Safarian-Jenkins was let go of the football team.
And quickly snapped, and then stopped is Winston. 2nd effort. We'll see where they're going to spot the forward progress here. Is they'll put it down about a yard shy of the 1st down. So the decision coming up right now for Dirk Cutter on what appears to be a 4th down. Put the ball down. It's maybe close enough for a measurement.
Well, it didn't even look like there was going to be a chance that he wasn't going to pick that up. Jameis Winston's a big guy, and Claiborne had him by the foot. I don't think he ever got back to that 1st down marker. Oh, they're going to get a challenge flag.
Was the ball out? Ball is out there.
How do you get a clear recovery?
Desmond Trufant was the guy who
Atlanta has challenged the ruling on the field on the previous play that there was no fumble. We'll review the play. Timeout.
But the thing is, if there's a fumble, it has to be a clear recovery as well. There's going to be an Atlanta recovery of a fumble. First things first, is he down? He is not. Does he fumble? Yes, he does. Is there a clear recovery? You'll see it in a second. Yes, there is. The back of the hand is there. He's not down. So it is a fumble, number 1, and then you need a clear recovery. And there's Warlow, number 55. He comes in, and you will see that he clearly comes up with the ball. And we think this will be overturned, and Atlanta will get the ball at the 39, and the Tampa Bay defense is already out on the field.
Yeah. And Desmond Trufant, the one that got that thing out. And if you're wondering, the back of your hand does not make you down. It's a very weird play. I've never seen one where it's like the back of the hand carrying the ball. I've just never seen that before.
So Dirk Cutter's going to watch his team, and there's Winston already on the bench. That's going to be the 2nd consecutive drive in which Tampa has lost a fumble. Here's the call.
The ruling on the field will be reversed. There was a fumble on the play with a clear recovery by Atlanta's number 55. It'll be Atlanta's ball, 1st and 10 on the 39-yard line. Please put 1 minute 40 seconds on the game clock. 1:40. Atlanta is not charged with a timeout.
A successful challenge here, and a big one, as the Falcons will take the ball again at the 39. And there's Warlow, who kind of over the past year has lost his starting spot, kind of in a reserve role more than ever now, backing up the rookie Deion Jones.
Yeah, but he is a guy that led this team in tackles for 3 straight years, and now he's the mentor for those 2 young rookies sitting right there, Devondre Campbell and Deion Jones.
And the man who recovers the fumble. And now Ryan and company start from the 39-yard line. And he hands the ball to Devontae Freeman. And Freeman, some nifty running up to the 48-yard line. Devontae Freeman's in his 3rd year. Played his college football at Florida State. So, of course, he and Winston are good pals. And he had a 1,000-yard season. Pro Bowl last year, 1,056 yards. And he has been sharing time with Tevin Coleman. They have provided a great 1-2 punch out of the backfield, but Coleman tonight is inactive, injured.
Yeah, as both a rusher and receiver.
Oscar! Right on!
2nd and 1, and Ryan puts it on the ground and just recovers it, makes sure that they keep possession of it, if nothing else. And that's going to turn out to be a loss of about 4, setting up a 3rd down and 4.
Yeah, this was a ghost of Christmas past with some of these fumbled exchanges. For Matt Ryan, they bring in Alex Mack from Cleveland, and he has really settled down this offensive line. Played much better. Alex Mack, their best player up front right now.
Final half minute of the opening quarter. 3rd down and 4 from the 45-yard line. Ryan throws. There's another flag. To the 46-yard line goes Taylor Gabriel for what would be a 1st down.
Yeah, it looked like one of the Bucs jumped off sides on the end of the line of scrimmage. I'd tell you exactly, but I can't really see the numbers out there.
Offside. Defense, number 91.
There you go.
Penalty is declined. Result of the play is a 1st down.
It's Robert Ayers. Yeah, if you can see the numbers, call Chris Collect.
Yeah. It's a little tough here. They're going to try and make a late substitution and bring people out.
Sure, the designer of those things said, let's see if we can screw the announcers up as much as we can. We're hanging in there. 1st and 10, and they're going to start the clock and take us to the 2nd quarter with the color rush. End of 1, 10-7. Atlanta Thursday Night Football presented by Bud Light continues after these messages. Quarterback comparison through the first 15 minutes of play. Winston leading that nice drive, 75 yards that first drive, so all of the yardage, most of it anyway, there. And Ryan, 4 of 7 for 71. 1st down as we start the 2nd frame with Freeman scooting to the outside, and Freeman with a nice run before he goes out of bounds. Devontae Freeman around the left side.
Just get trapped down inside here. They're going to get there, and then they're going to get a support coming up from the outside, and he's going to get beat to the inside. At some point, you have to be able to come up and set that edge and keep that running back flowing back into the other defenders.
20-yard gain for him. Teron Ward now comes in. Did a nice job last week in a reserve role against Green Bay. Shoulder shake, and again, and then over the middle. Juggled, caught for a moment, but incomplete. That's Josh Perkins, a rookie out of Washington. Juggled it, looked like he was going to be able to collect it again, but could not.
Joshua Perkins playing in his first game has an opportunity, a second opportunity, caught it. Now he's going for the 3rd opportunity. The kick. Oh, there's nothing more painful than that. When you have one in your hands and then you catch it, but somehow going to the ground is always the killer.
He's active tonight because their top tight end Jacob Tammy injured and inactive. 2nd down and 10 now. And the ball is handed off going through the middle is Teron Ward. Al Michaels with Chris Collinsworth, Heather Cox. You know, you mentioned it at the top. If Atlanta wins, they're going to have a nice size lead. But if Tampa wins, Atlanta would be 5-4. Tampa would be 4-4. With their bye week still to come, and they'd have head-to-head 2 victories over Atlanta, so the race would get extremely tight.
And with the Bucs still undefeated in the division, so they come out of here with a win, they're going to feel awfully good about themselves. It's a big game, you know. Big games don't always happen at the end of the year. For this franchise, Tampa Bay, they desperately need to start winning at home, and this is the team they have to beat.
Don't forget the Saints are in San Francisco this week as the pass is not caught at the 4-yard line by Austin Hooper, flagged down back at the 34-yard line, all the way back upfield. Looking over to the Tampa Bay bench, indicating the penalties against Atlanta.
Foul, grabbing the face mask. Offense, number 67. That penalty is declined. 4th down.
Andy Levitre, the left guard.
There's Levitre right there. Hands to the face and a little twist against Levante David, and he's looking around, and he did get that call. So basically the Bucs turnovers could have been much, much worse than they have. At least they didn't give up touchdowns on those.
So a 41-yard field goal attempt coming now for Matt Bryant. And Bryant this time just inside the right upright. So the 2 turnovers lead to 6 points. Early in the second quarter, 13-7 Atlanta. Tonight football being brought to you by Tostitos Chips and Dips. Bring the party. And by T-Mobile, switch to the network built for unlimited data. Some of the great Falcons of the past, the old Dirty Bird, Jamal Anderson, and you've got Rich McKay on the left. You have Tom Dimitroff, the GM, in the middle. Arthur Blank, the owner, in the vest. And they're going to watch their team, they hope, take a bigger lead in the division. And it's a brain trust, too, that's going to open up a brand new stadium, the Mercedes-Benz Dome in Atlanta in 2017. And the Bucs will start from the 25. So Dirk Cutter, first time he's been an NFL head coach, graduate of a high school in Pocatello, Idaho, and he stayed at home to play his college football at Idaho State. And then beginning his coaching career, he was the head coach at Boise State for 2.5 years, and then Arizona State for 6 seasons. Offensive coordinator, Jags, Falcons, and the Bucs here last year under Lovie Smith. And he was shocked. He said he's getting hip surgery, and his kids come in and say, "Hey, Lovie got fired." He goes, "What?" And he was going to be interviewed by the San Francisco 49ers. They did come here to interview him, but then he wound up getting the job here. The head coaching job as Peyton Barber takes it over the right side for a gain of 4. But it's so interesting, too, Chris, because he's got Mike Smith, whom he worked for at Atlanta, and then Mike gets fired. Quinn takes that job. Mike is out last year, and now Smith is working under Cutter here.
They just keep flip-flopping, don't they, no matter where they end up going. And I get the feeling that, you know, they were afraid. There's Mike Smith, and done a great job as both the head coach with Atlanta and also as a coordinator. But I just got the feeling that the Buccaneers organization did not want to stunt the growth of Jameis Winston after all they had done in 1 year with Dirk Cutter.
From the 29 on 2nd and 6. And that is caught up at the 36-yard line for a first down by Mike Evans. Of course, the glory years started when they brought Tony Dungy in here. And then Tony just couldn't get over the hump. So Tony goes to Indianapolis, where, of course, he had a great amount of success, and John Gruden came in here and won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, John Gruden came in, and all he did was win a Super Bowl, and they have had a horrendous record since then. So maybe John put the curse on them. I don't know, but they have not been anywhere close to what they were. Of course, they don't have some of these Ring of Honor names up there anymore either.
True. Winston fires, and that is caught at 48, but another flag is down at the line of scrimmage. And the Bucs coming back.
Offense, number 68. 10-yard penalty. Replay first down.
Second penalty on Joe Hawley, the center.
Yeah, working on Grady Jarrett right there. Watch the quickness of this guy going up against the center here, Joe Hawley. His quickness and ability to get around is just a nightmare in both the running game and the pass protection scheme. He really has added a presence, and I think it's had a lot to do with the success they're having now on the outside rushing the passer with Claiborne and Beasley, especially the last 3 or 4 games.
On a 1st and 20, keep it on the ground. Peyton Barber up to the 28-yard line. Well, it's hard for these guys to get a ground game going. I mean, you think about it. Doug Martin's been a star. Jacquizz Rodgers came in and did a great job. 2 triple-figure games. Sims is also hurt for the year. They're down to what would be their 4th, 5th, and 6th backs.
Yeah, it's amazing when you're talking to Falcons. They're like, who are they playing to run it back again? I mean, when you get beat up at one position, that is the worst, because they've got guys out there playing that basically know very little about this offense.
By the way, Martin is trying to get better from a hamstring. Meanwhile, Winston directing traffic downfield and throws incomplete, and we've got another penalty. And we also have an injured Buck, and that's Hawley. Writhing right there, the 7th-year center, in a lot of pain.
Yeah, essentially, his left guard Kevin Pamfield got blocked right into him. He just never saw the stunt coming and just got knocked off his feet.
Hawley's a former Falcon, tore his ACL a couple of years
Ineligible
ago.
player downfield. Offense, number 69. Penalty is declined. Third down.
It's DeMar Dotson. But, right now, all the attention on a man who's down. That's Joe Hawley. Back after this. They work on Hawley, who needed some assistance coming off the field. And that means that Evan Smith, who's a guy who has some experience, seventh-year man who played at Green Bay prior to coming here, he'll take over as the center. And a little dump pass is taken here by Anton Smith, who gets the ball up to the 39, and we go back to the Hawley injury.
Yeah, just a stunt coming here. Going to go Courtney Upshaw is going to run right in here as they loop around on the outside. And you can see that Kevin Pamfield just never saw that one coming and just got blown right back in to Hawley.
Working on the left knee, and the punting group is in here. Brian Anger, he's done a really good job. Picked him up from Jacksonville. And this is the high, deep kick, field of the 9, penalty again. And another one to the 18-yard line. When was the last time we saw a run back without a penalty? Remember?
It's
2004, maybe?
I did it in high school once.
Just wondering. 53-yard boot. So they confer. You got the 2 flags here. Atlanta backing all the way up, so as they work on Hawley, and we'll get a report on him. Here's Torbert.
There were 2 fouls by the return team during the play. Illegal block in the back. Number 53 of the return team. That penalty is declined. During the kick, holding number 27 of the return team. That penalty is accepted. It's half the distance to the goal from the spot from the end of the kick. First down.
Backs them all the way up to the 4. So Matt Ryan having a terrific year. Last year, only 29% completed on passes more than 20 yards downfield. This year, more than half. He's already thrown 13 passes this season that have gained 40 or more yards, and that's already a career high, and they're only halfway through the season, and it leads the league. So Ryan off to a tremendous start statistically. 9th year, number 3 overall pick when he was drafted out of Boston College in 08. And speaking of long, deep passes, but nobody is there. Pass is incomplete. He was popped at the end of the play by Akeem Spence. 2nd down and 10.
Yeah, good little stunt inside. They call this the old TT stunt, just the 2 interior defensive tackles looping around. And we'll see Spence coming in and getting a big-time shot. He just didn't have time to read that one out. Julio Jones was thinking just the opposite.
Yep. 2nd down and 10. Julio's not caught a pass yet. And, of course, the minute you say that, hello, to the 25-yard line goes the great Julio Jones, now in his 6th year out of Alabama. They traded up for him, and turned out to be a gem, 21 yards.
Just so hard to stay with this guy. You have to play all those deep passes. And for Brent Grimes, who, of course, knows the Atlanta Falcons and all they do up there so well. And there is Matt Ryan, who is just playing with a confidence right now that maybe he's never played with.
Little toss. Devontae Freeman up to the 28. Well, the offensive coordinator for the Falcons is one Kyle Shanahan, and there he is. And the way things are going with Atlanta, when you have the #1 scoring offense, when you're #1 totally in offense around the league, people begin to look around. And Kyle is still very young, of course, the son of Mike Shanahan, and he could very well be in line for a head coaching at least interview or interviews when the season's over.
Yeah, I think he's pretty close to the top of the list right now. Of course, you never know. You know, the season didn't end so well last year for the Falcons, so we'll see.
2nd and 7, and they come around the side, and then Ryan loses the ball. It's going to be a fumble, and it's going to be a Tampa Bay recovery. Darryl Smith and Gerald McCoy came in. Ryan loses it, and a big turnover here.
Darryl Smith's going to get the initial pressure, and then it's going to be, here comes McCoy right up the middle to clean this thing up. Gets right around Andy Levitre and is going to clean that one up. That is the guy, Gerald McCoy, that they knew eventually they would have to deal with. And for the Atlanta Falcons, the beat goes on with losing fumbles.
Gerald McCoy, star in college. Oklahoma was Ryan's knee down. McCoy, #1 pick back in 2010.
Ball's clearly out. Yep. Well, now the Buccaneers get a shot. It was the Buccaneers defense that held the field goals, but this is the time that they just simply have to get something done on the offensive side.
Tampa Bay has turned it over twice. That's Atlanta's first giveaway. Short field starting in the red zone at the 19-yard line.
They go with the jumbo package. Gosder Sherrillis in the game.
And right through the middle. And what else is there? There's another flag, of course. Peyton Barber. We've already had 6 accepted penalties in the game. Maybe something about the stadium. This is where the Raiders committed 23 on Sunday.
Illegal
it's
formation. Offense. Number 82 covered number 78, who was reported as an eligible receiver. It's a 5-yard penalty. Replay first down.
So we talked about Gosder Sherrillis coming in the game, and he was at the tight end position, and then a tight end lined up on the line of scrimmage, and that made it all illegal. But what they certainly don't want is Desmond Trufant going out of the game. Wow.
Yeah. From the play before. Try to get a report on that. One of the 3 Trufant NFL brothers, Jalen Collins, second-year guy from LSU, takes his spot, number 32. And Winston rolls and throws, and it's incomplete at the 4-yard line, intended for Evans, and there goes Trufant, and we go to Heather.
Al, I can tell you that center Joe Hawley has had his left knee examined. They performed a stability exam. Then he went behind the bench to test it. They now have ice on it. Now, do remember, it is not the right knee that he tore his ACL in 2 years ago, but the left knee that he injured earlier this season in week 7. The official word on him is he is questionable to return, as you mentioned. Backup Evan Smith in at center. Al.
Yeah, well, that's the good news. If there is any, it's the other knee. So there's Paulie. At least for the moment on the bench. 2nd down and 15 from the 24. And going to the end zone and holding. Touchdown, Mike Evans. Well, you got a 6'5" guy going against a 5'10" corner. And the 7 inches pays off.
This is called rebounding. In this day and age of the National Football, you're just going to get a little wiggle and up, and that's all it's going to be. And then it's just, my guy's bigger than your guy, and we're going to wrestle around a little bit, and I'm going to go up and catch it. There really is nothing fancy about that, but one guy being bigger and stronger and able to get the rebound, total control, 2 feet down, keep away. I'm too tall, you can't get it. Touchdown, and he has had a bunch of those just like that this season. That makes touchdown number 7.
He had one more. He had the first one tonight too.
Right.
So 8 to lead the league, which is almost well, in this case it's 1 a game for Tampa.
Ball start. Offense. Number 97. 5-yard penalty. Still playing the try.
Which just adds a little drama to this extra point.
It does. So Aguayo gets drafted in the 2nd round. You don't normally pick a kicker that high. And he has had all kinds of issues. So now you have what amounts to a 38-yard extra point. Brian Anger will spot it.
I can hear the nervousness in your voice.
You got a feel for the guy at this point, don't you? Fumble sets it up by Ryan, and it's 14-13 home team. NFL Thursday Night Football being presented by Bud Light, beer with your team on it. Tampa, Florida, first Thursday night of the month of November. Raymond James Stadium opened in '98, host to 2 Super Bowls in its existence. And the Buccaneers on top by a score of 14-13. This kick will be run back from 2 yards in by Eric Weems. And back he comes to the 26-yard line with 8.5 to go in the half.
All right, how about some next-gen stats presented by Mercedes-Benz? And it is Julio Jones, who you dare not come up in press coverage against him. 23.5 yards per catch against that press coverage within 3 yards of the line of scrimmage. And the most number of 20-plus yard plays, tied for the most in the NFL. So he is just a monster. There is no really good way to play that guy. You just take a shot and hope you have a little help.
Very A.J. Green-like. From the 25-yard line to give the ball to Teron Ward. Well, there's a flag. The Torbert crew on a lot of laundry tonight.
Holding. Defense, number 67. 5-yard penalty added to the end of the play. Automatic first down.
Watch Quan Alexander right here come up and redirect his own guy here. Come up and give his guy a swat. Quan Alexander's been coming in early to the office every single day, and just
that might be a penalty. Well, the earlier penalty was on John Hughes III. This one is Golston.
Encroachment. Defense, number 92. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
Yeah, we were talking about Quan Alexander. Here's a guy that found a way to get in contact with both Luke Kuechly and Sean Lee. Of course, Kuechly in his own division, to ask him how they watch tape. You know, he said, yeah, we watch tape in college at LSU, but not like they watch tape in the NFL. So he started showing up an hour before everybody else had to be here. He'd go in and work with Mike Smith. And he's really become the leader of this defense in just his second year.
1st and 5 after the penalty, and trying to get that first down is Ward. Very close to the marker there, knocked out by Hargraves, who was their #1 draft choice out of the University of Florida.
You know, it's been interesting, Al, that we're so used to seeing the Atlanta Falcons run a lot of sort of on-the-edge plays, stretch plays, and then running bootlegs off of them. But the Buccaneers did such a great job of running through that scheme and getting into their running game and sort of taking it apart that it looks like tonight the Falcons are going more directly at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Well, they picked up a first down as Ward was able to get those necessary 5. A little over 7 minutes to go in the half in a 1-point game. Freeman, good hesitation there, patience. Gets to the 49-yard line. It'll be 2nd down and 6.
Boy, nice job here once again. There's Alexander right there, going to come up here and take on a block, bounce right off of it and make the play. He is a very athletic guy. I mean, they basically now at the middle linebacker position, I can remember when they had, you know, all those big legendary figures. Now they're sprinters in there.
Ryan going deep and making the catch. Taylor Gabriel pulls it in at the 26-yard line. Taylor Gabriel, touchdown last week on a 47-yard catch against Green Bay. That one is good for 26.
You want to know that one of the biggest differences on this offense of the Atlanta Falcons this year, the speed that they've picked up. Taylor Gabriel's a 4.28 guy. Grimes had to respect him. Aldrick Robinson. So now instead of people just sitting on and double teaming Julio Jones all the time, they have to worry about those two speed guys, and they also have Mohamed Sanu to work those underneath routes.
Right, Sanu, who scored the winning touchdown in the last minute against Green Bay, get to catch a pass tonight. Now they go back to the ground. Freeman will try to go around the right side. No chance. Levante David, 5th year, makes the stop.
Nice job just fighting through the double team by Akeem Spence there, and that started multiple bounce outs. You're allowed 1, but 2, 3, 4, that usually does it right up here. Just fights his way right through that double team, and Freeman sees it and decides he's going another direction, and Levante David took care of the rest. Spence having a nice game. Playing in place of Clinton McDonald.
2nd and 12, and Tampa Bay was trying to get set on defense. Guys running off and on the field, so they take a timeout. Opening game this season on the 11th of September, the Bucs won the game. The Falcons could get nothing going on the ground. 52 total yards tonight. Already 62. And we're still in the 2nd quarter. 2nd down and 12.
Watch those seam routes. We've had success.
Goes to the outside, and it's Jones right there with Grimes. Grimes breaking it up. It'll be 3rd down and 12.
Well, that was some jump on the ball by Brett Grimes right down here. You got a guy like Julio Jones coming at you. It is not easy to be that brave, but he is a quick change of direction guy and got his hands in there to break that one up. So Brett Grimes going to be one of those all or nothing kind of guys. He gets a lot of interceptions. He's going to give up a few plays every once in a while too.
3rd and 12. A lot of action going on that defense right now. And Ryan fires, and he gets the open man to the 11-yard line, and that is Austin Hooper, the rookie tight end, tackled by Alexander, and Tampa Bay running all over the field defensively.
Yeah, Austin Hooper is a guy that I think is going to be a player. I really do. He came out of Stanford, and he played a lot in the slot there. 61% of his snaps at Stanford came out of the slot position. And since he's taken over into that role now without Jacob Tamme, he's just sort of stepped right into it. And I think it even surprised Matt Ryan that he knew all those plays after Tamme got hurt.
Now from the 12 on the ground again, Freeman bounces his way to close to the 8-yard line with 4:40 remaining in the opening half.
This time Andy Levitri gets the better, going to just turn that block right out there against Golston and set a nice little edge. Boy, anytime you see the backside of a guard into the hole, that means there is a pretty easy running lane to get through.
Alexander has to come out.
Well, that hurts because he's the signal caller. He's the one that the coach calls those signals right into his helmet. Well, bet he's not out long.
Yeah. And Atlanta's going to take a timeout. Well, of course, like so many others last night. How about that game? How about that baseball game last night? That's
so great.
You know how much I love baseball, and of course Bob Costas is here, and that's why you love baseball.
Yeah, just every once in a while, sports does something that you remember for a lifetime. And as you watch that thing and you're thinking, oh boy, it's going to get away from them here, and it looks like, and all of a sudden there were more great clutch hitting in that game. Oh, it was so much fun to watch.
Amazing. Congratulations, of course, to the Cubs. How about you go to extra innings in the 7th game of the World Series, and it starts to rain. Boy, fortunately, it only lasted 17 minutes, and they're watching all the post-game interviews. Interesting how it let the Cubs kind of, collect themselves.
Well, they got a little fiery speech, didn't they, at halftime, or when they got back at halftime? I'm doing baseball halftime. Whatever that was, the rain break.
Between periods. Meanwhile, Taylor Gabriel will run into the end zone for the touchdown.
Now, this guy's making a difference. I mean, he caught the big touchdown a week ago, and his speed is just changing the look of this offense.
Gabriel's just a 5'8", third-year Abilene Christian. Got him off a waiver wire.
Boy, Lolo on the outside got that edge, and boy, it's just when somebody running 4.28 gets that ball flying across the way, it's not much you can do about that kind of speed.
They were the Browns last year. So here's Bryant, all-time Falcon leading scorer, adds one more point to that record. And with 3:56 remaining in the first half here, it is Atlanta 20, Tampa Bay 14 on Thursday night. All Access is the only live nightly show dedicated to the NFL. Tomorrow, Michael Vick opens up about his road to redemption. NFL Total Access tomorrow at 7 Eastern, live on NFL Network. Well, Michael Vick was the face of the Falcons, and then we all knew what took place. And down the road we come, and you look at the new coach, Dan Quinn, took over when Mike Smith was fired. And as we mentioned before, Smith is the defensive coordinator here in Tampa Bay, as the Buccaneers get set to begin their drive from the 25, and we check in with Heather.
Al, the Falcons D is still without their top corner, Desmond Trufant. He remains in the locker room where doctors are examining his left shoulder right now. His return questionable. And now remember, Trufant's been a constant for the Falcons defense. He hasn't missed a game in the 3 seasons since he was drafted.
Yeah,
I'll keep you updated.
Thank you, Heather. That's that could be a big loss. You got Jalen Collins taking his spot. Brian Poole playing the other corner.
But they have not gone after Collins yet. I'm a little surprised by that.
Now that you mentioned it. Well, there's a fake toss. Boy, that's a nicely designed play, and a great tackle is made there by Brian Poole on Adam Humphries. Otherwise, he would have picked up a lot more.
That was a wall in front of that play. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this or not. Fake that pitch and come back. There are 4 offensive linemen in front of this play, and if Poole doesn't make that play, he's still running.
Second down and 2. Head coach Cutter calls the plays and trying to get that first down, and he leans and gets it is Mike James, who had been with the Bucs, and they let him go, and he went to Detroit, and he was on their practice squad, and then they just brought him back.
Yeah, they had plans to keep Mike James, and he hurt his hamstring right before the end of training camp and let him go. He instead of going to Lions practice squad, was actually out on the street, and luckily knew his offense, and they brought him in. Whoop.
3 minutes to the half. Might be a little bit of encroachment there. One Mr. Vic Beasley.
I think I know how some of those sacks are coming now. Jameis Winston.
Defense, number 44. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
Yep. Winston stood up to point at who he wanted the Mike backer to be, so the offensive lineman would know. It's like, see, he goes, Mike right there, and then he pointed to Mike, and then he pointed at Vic Beasley. He wanted to make sure he got the 5-yard. The heads up there by DeMar Dotson. Point him out.
Makes it a 1st and 5. Off play action, look out. He gets hit. Does Winston as he throws, and that creates a wobbly pass that turns out to be incomplete. Adrian Claiborne is the guy who came in from the corner in 99. He was Tampa Bay's #1 draft pick back in 2011.
Yeah, just too many times, honestly, for Donovan Smith. Really struggled a week ago against the Raiders, and if Jameis Winston had just a second longer to complete that ball, he would have just had to rush it. Just have to get a little more out of Donovan Smith.
Claiborne spent his first 4 years here and then went to the Falcons. 2nd down and 5. Winston throws on the run. Another penalty. Pass incomplete. Penalty flag at the 47, just past the first down sticks.
Holding. Defense, number 34. 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
It's going to be on Poole.
Yeah, Jameis Winston was fired up at Cecil Shorts here. Here's the penalty going to happen right here. Then at the end of the play, think Jameis Winston thought Cecil Shorts was going to keep breaking that route across the way. He sprinted all the way down the field to let him know exactly where he wanted him on that route.
Winston again. And he gets the ball away somehow. Gets the ball away to Mike James before he gets knocked down. It was Brooks Reed who had about 7/8 of a sack there.
Wow, watch the spin move inside here. Going against Donovan Smith one more time, and somehow Jameis Winston, big enough and strong enough to stay on his feet. I don't think, look at that, he just threw a left-handed hook shot out there. What a play.
From a sack to a 6-yard gain, and look at all kinds of confusion in the backfield. That led to an earlier fumble. And you can see Jameis getting up saying, what's going on here, man? 2-minute warning. That much time left in the half. Atlanta by 6. This halftime, Bob, Tony, and Rodney all here. They'll break down the first half. Rich Eisen and his guys will look ahead to Sunday's big games, and there are plenty of them as we begin week number 9 in the National Football League. Here, final 2 minutes, 3rd down and 7. At the 49-yard line, and Winston retreats and goes down, trips at the 44-yard line, and the crowd says, wait, it should be a flag on Jarrett, they say, but no. Winston started to get up as if he wasn't touched down, and there's no flag.
Vic Beasley is the one that really made this play, ran right through DeMar Dotson, coming right off the edge here. And looked like Jameis Winston just got tripped up, and Jarrett knew he wasn't touched. That was an ugly looking series. That's not ugly. There's a handsome guy right there. We like John Lynch.
John Lynch, boy, what a career he had. Much of it, of course, spent here with Tampa Bay. Won a Super Bowl with the Bucs in 02, and his name going up on the Ring of Honor. Great guy, and does a heck of a job broadcasting with Kevin Burkhardt normally on Fox. Mike Goldstein is there.
Yeah.
There he is.
The A-Train. Those two guys. There was a lot of pain dished out by both those guys.
We're going to put Lynch's name right up next to Allstott's on the Ring of Honor. Meanwhile, Brian Anger comes in to punt. And a fair catch called for made at the 18-yard line by Eric Weems. One timeout for Atlanta left. A little recap tonight. Winston throwing to Evans, who scored the first of his 2 touchdowns there. Matt Ryan, 50%, 1 touchdown. Julio Jones only has 1 catch in the game. That's good for 21 yards, so they've been doing a job on him. And we'll see what Ryan can do now with a 6-point lead, 1 timeout at his disposal, and 1:46 left in the half.
The way this offense is playing, they're going to be rocking and rolling here. They're going after it.
From the 16, they start with a pass over the middle. Jones, and Julio is able to seek and get that first down up at the 26-yard line. First down for the Falcons.
Boy, every time he takes off running across the field, I think of that Carolina game where Matt Ryan had 500 yards passing and Julio had 300 yards receiving. A lot of them on plays like that.
And the 27. There he goes again. So he caught 1 pass in the first 28.5 minutes, and now he's caught 2 on the last 2 plays. Gain there of 16.
Buccaneers trying to sit back in some of those zone defenses, and right now Matt Ryan's picking them apart.
To deep here. Underneath, flag, the line of scrimmage, the inception of the play. Devontae Freeman caught that one. And Ron Torbert calling another penalty here.
Illegal formation by the offense. Number 12 covered up number 11. The 5-yard penalty. First down.
5th on Atlanta, 8th against Tampa, and we go to Heather.
Al, the Falcons, right now the Bucs are without middle linebacker Quan Alexander. He has been on the sideline having his right shoulder worked on for a good amount of time, probably about 10 minutes. He's standing without his helmet. Doesn't look like he will return. We will get you more after the half.
All right, Heather, there he is on the sideline, helmet off, and so a little mix and match defensively here as they miss their quarterback. Catch made here. That's Sanu's first catch, the former Cincinnati Bengal, up to the 47-yard line. Darrell Smith, in his 13th season, makes the stop. They conserve that timeout. Clock rolling down to 40. They're swinging out here, and Freeman makes the catch, and the tackle is made inbounds. That's a great tackle. Hargraves not only got him down, but keeps him inbounds, and that forces Atlanta to use its final timeout with 31 seconds.
Can't you just see how much more comfortable Matt Ryan is in this second year of Kyle Shanahan's offense? You know, they really talked about the fact that when they were 5-0, they were all in on that offense, you know, and Matt was really buying into it and following along, and all of a sudden they hit that skid and the 6-game losing streak, and Matt started saying, well, you know, we used to do this and that worked, and let's try a little bit of this, and they always ended up somewhere halfway in between. Whereas this year, they really focused on Shanahan's offense, being dedicated to it, and I think you've seen some of the explosiveness this year because of it.
And it shows on the scoreboard, this team's rolled up 30 points with regularity. 3rd down and 6. And Ryan's going to go down back at the 38-yard line, so he can't get it away. William Golston coming in. Spence as well. And unless Tampa wants to stop the clock, that's going to take us to the end of the half.
William Golston's going to go right up against a pretty good right tackle on the outside, and Ryan Schrader. And so far, it has been the pass rushers that have won the battle in this one despite the score.
Well, the Falcons are going to let the clock run out, and the Falcons will be getting the second half kickoff as we get to the half with Atlanta leading Tampa Bay 20-14. Stick to the Lexus halftime report. Plenty more ahead on Thursday Night Football, presented by Bud Light. Of the NFL season starts here on Thursday Night Football. And Winston looks into the end zone, throws, caught, touchdown, Mike Evans. Boy, they showed you a little bit of everything on that drive. Ryan on the run, throws, and that's caught for a touchdown. And going to the end zone, and a touchdown, Mike Evans.
We're going to wrestle around a little bit, and I'm going to go up and catch it.
And back in Tampa on this Thursday night, halftime score is 20-14 Atlanta. They're going to get the ball to start the third quarter. A little bit about what's been happening so far tonight. Winston led him on a 75-yard drive to score right off the bat. His numbers right there, the 2 TDs to Evans. Ryan, 15 straight games now with those touchdowns. Evans, 7 catches for 77, symmetry there, and 2 scores. Julio Jones had only 1 catch until the final minute and a half. They targeted him twice then, and he's caught 3 overall for 49 yards. So off we go into the third quarter with Atlanta trying to get to a mark of 6-3. And Tampa Bay trying to square its record at 4-4. Weems will have a return from the goal line, and Eric Weems with the flag down. So we start the way we ended the first half with the penalty up to the 27-yard line. And Dirk Cutter says move him.
During the return, holding number 33 of the return team. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. It's Atlanta's ball, first down.
Let's take a look at Matt Ryan there in the first half, and one of the things he likes to do, watch his hips. He likes to get that front hip around. That's where he gets the strength to throw that motion, just like in golf. You sort of post off that left leg and whip around, and gives you the torque on the throws. You know, Matt Ryan's not a guy that's going to throw it 65, 70 yards in the air, but clearly he is just under control with this offense right now.
And he starts here from the 14 after the penalty. And going right to the air and over the middle and reaching for it is Sanu. Mohamed Sanu, brought in to help take some of the pressure off of Jones, makes the catch here, first down.
But when you have a Julio Jones screaming down the middle of the field to draw the coverage, you're just going to get one-on-one. Nice catch here by Mohamed Sanu. He is becoming more and more the true number 2 that they need opposite Jones.
And through the middle goes Freeman, and through that middle because Quan Alexander was hurt and Glanton is now in there, middle linebacker, and we go to Heather.
Well, Dan Quinn said we have to keep our eye on Mike Evans the entire time with 2 touchdowns. He's so hot. We cannot lose him on the field. As for Desmond Trufant, he remains in the locker room with that left shoulder injury. His return is considered questionable. Dirk Cutter, of course, said we will continue to feed Mike Evans. He would be hot. Now, linebacker Quan Alexander is probable with that right stinger. And also, Al, defensive end Howard Jones out for the game with a knee injury.
All right, thank you, Heather. As we'll keep an eye on when Alexander can return or will return, as Freeman gets taken down here by Glanton, who's taking Alexander's spot for the moment.
Right now, the Buccaneers are trying to show a 2 deep back here, but they're really starting to rotate like that. So they're trying to say, all right, we're going to play 2 deep safeties, run the ball, Atlanta. But then just before the snap of the ball, they're getting that extra guy down. So expect Matt Ryan to come with some play action here soon and take advantage of that.
There he is, Alexander, still working on that shoulder that hurt toward the end of the first half. So the third-year man Glanton is in there, number 53 in his stead. 3rd and 5, hanging in there. Throw is caught by Jones. Makes the catch up at the 44-yard line for a first down.
You know, he can play like a speed receiver, but he can also play like a big tight end. And I think he got his hands underneath there. It was close.
Well, close enough that there's going to be a challenge here. There was a 3rd and 5, resulting in a first down. So if they win the challenge,
it's like a turnover.
It'd be 4th down.
We'll review the play. Time out.
All right, to the hood we go after this. Football brought to you by KFC's Kentucky Buckets. Pick up a $20 fill-up for game day. KFC and finger looking good. And by Microsoft Surface, the official tablet of the NFL. Playing high school here in Tampa. 4 Florida State championships since '06, coached by Robert Weiner, with over 140 victories in his hip pocket in 13 seasons. And here's Torbert to tell us about the Jones catch or no catch.
The ruling on the field stands as called. First down. Tampa Bay will be charged with their first time out of the half.
Very, very close, but there's nothing conclusive to the consternation of one Dirk Cutter.
Yeah, see if he has this sort of pin between his forearm and thigh, and it's really not going to move when it hits the ground. And now it's still sort of pinned there, but now it comes loose. Boy, they have just been staying with those calls on the field when they can't see clear and convincing evidence.
Well, 10 years ago, that would have been incomplete, but the ball can touch the ground.
Woke this crowd up, though.
It did from the 44. Ryan throws, and that is caught, and that's another first down, and that is Julio Jones becoming a bigger and bigger factor as this game moves along. First down to the 35.
I'll tell you, Matt Ryan and Julio Jones are just on the same page. This ball came out way before Julio Jones got to that breaking point, and there just isn't anything you can do as a defensive back. That time Vernon Hargreaves, you know, he's in decent position.
And Ryan fires again. There is Jones again, running those in cuts to the 19-yard line. And Jones, who has held a 1 catch for almost the entire first half, now has a total of 6 in the game and 97 yards.
Well, it's mission accomplished for the Atlanta Falcons right now. They've gotten Tampa into that single deep safety look, and now they're just one-on-one route running with what they consider to be their far superior wide receivers, especially Julio Jones on the outside.
Teron Ward comes in at running back. And the pass is caught, and once again, big number 11 takes it inside the 10. That's going to set up a 1st and goal. They just keep feeding him.
One of the reasons they're going to this hurry-up offense is they think that Gerald McCoy is a tough guy to handle when he's fresh. So their feeling was that if they could come out and stay in a no-huddle offense, that he just wouldn't be as explosive. You can see how tired he is. You hate to substitute for your best defensive player, but there comes a time when exhaustion takes over.
4 catches for Jones already. Split to the left. This time they keep it on the ground. They give the ball to Teron Ward, who gets to the 5-yard line. It'll be 2nd down and goal for the Falcons.
Yeah, and you can see this front now starting. They're getting moved. That was a great double team inside by Chris Chester and Alex Mack to just drive back this defensive line. We haven't seen Julio Jones with a red zone touchdown this year, right?
Strangely enough, yeah, they barely target him there, and you're not going to see one here either as he goes to the sideline.
Yeah, not even a catch, much less a touchdown.
So Ryan repositions his guys. Play clock at 2. Keep it on the ground again, and this is Ward taking the ball to the 2-yard line. 3rd and goal, and Julio comes back into the game with Freeman.
They have some weapons on this offense, and you just have to think eventually this Falcons defense with all those young players are going to start figuring it out. And if they figure it out before the playoffs, this is one of those teams that may go on a run.
Put Jones in the slot to the left this time. 3rd and goal. Looking that way, fires, and over everybody's head but a flag in the end zone. Sanu, probably the intended receiver. Pass was very high.
Well, Hargraves was on him and hooked him as he tried to make that in cut.
Pass interference. Defense, number 28. The foul occurred in the end zone. The ball will be spotted at the 1-yard line. Automatic 1st down.
Right out here. Get over the top, try to make that in cut. Just a little grab. And the official thought that that's what took Mohamed Sanu to the ground.
So the gift 1st and goal, and now Freeman is going to get stopped after a gain of a few inches, making it 2nd down and goal. Levante David is there. 2nd and goal.
Nicely done by the 2 inside linebackers here. Going to fill this right there. Levante David, Darius Glant.
Opening drive of the half. 6-minute drive. This will be the 11th play. 5 runs, 5 passes to this point. Here's your 6th pass, and it's good for a touchdown to the fullback, Patrick DeMarco. Matt Ryan just keeps spreading it around. Ryan gets to spike it. DeMarco goes into the end zone. And Atlanta now up by 12 pending the extra point.
Friendly fire. Wasn't that Levante David didn't see it. He just ran into his own guy, and then Patrick DeMarco by himself. Patrick DeMarco a season ago I thought was clearly the best fullback in the National Football League. Maybe a notch down from that this year, but certainly versatile guy, being able to come out of the backfield and make those catches. No rushing attempts this year, but that is 6th catch.
Atlanta will go for 2 to try to make it a 14-point lead. 2-point attempt. And that is Jones, and he can't make the catch. Got blanketed there. I.J. Barima with the coverage. So 8:54 left in the quarter. It's 26-14 Falcons. Thursday Night Football presented by Bud Light. Beer with your team on it. So a 12-point Atlanta lead. Bucs still trying to win their first game of the season at home. They're 0-3 here. All the victories have come away, and we start with a touchback for Winston and company as they come out onto the field. So Dan Quinn is starting 4 rookies. He's got 2 linebackers. He's got 2 safeties. He's got his 1 and 2 picks in Neal and Jones. He's got Campbell and Poole. Poole is a free agent. So 4 of your 11 are in their first year in the National Football League. Revamping. Starting from the 25-yard line. Over the middle, the pass is incomplete. So he goes with 4 rookies. Of course, Quinn's pedigree is defense. He was a defensive coordinator, but got a nice little thing going here between Quinn on the defensive side and Shanahan on the offensive side.
You know, and it takes guts to do that. You know, it takes a real commitment to the future of what you're trying to build with this program, and I think it's going to pay off. I'm not sure they're going to get there by the end of this season, but they might. I keep thinking around weeks 14, 15, 16 with the way this offense is playing, this team could take off if the defense starts playing at that level.
Well, as you said at the top, that's going to be the key. Smith here is taken down, and it will be a 3rd down and a couple coming up. You know they're going to score, that's for sure, but can they stop people?
Yep. There we go. All right, there's Deion Jones in the middle there, and Keanu Neal's going to come down and make that play through the box. You've got Devondre Campbell, who's been fighting off a bad ankle. He missed weeks 2 through 5, but I think he's going to be an excellent cover guy. And the big surprise, of course, Brian Poole is the guy that came out of nowhere to be that 4th starter.
3rd and 2, and that pass is incomplete. They do the job here, intended for Cecil Shorts. 4th down, we go to Heather.
Al, some injury updates for you. First for the Falcons, corner Desmond Trufant has been ruled out for the remainder of the game with a left shoulder injury. He's on the sideline in street clothes. And for the Bucs, center Joe Hawley has been downgraded to out with that left knee injury he suffered in the first half.
All right, thank you, Heather. That means that Evan Smith will take over as the snapper in the meantime, and there is Hawley already in street clothes with Anger to punt. Weems at the 19, and he's going to get buried at that point. Nice tackle is made there by Ryan Smith. Well, the Falcons seeking a championship. 50-year-old franchises, 50 or more. The Vikings have gone 56 seasons, no Super Bowl wins. 56 for the Rangers, no World Series. Goes back to their days as the Washington Senators. The Astros have not won a World Series. And the Falcons on that list right there. And, of course, the Chicago Cubs last night, well, they had won a championship, but back in 06. Arthur Blank knows this all too well. 08, sorry, what did I say? 08 was the Cubs' last win. Give or take a couple of years. What's the difference? Got too many numbers running by, except the ones on the Tampa Bay uniforms, which we can't see. But from the 18-yard line. How you doing?
I'm just making it up.
Off the play fake. Ryan deep downfield into triple coverage intended for Sanu and incomplete. It'll be 2nd down and 10.
Well, first of all, you get a chance to take deep shots when your offensive line does this. They were rock solid across the board here. Just all kinds of room for Matt Ryan to take a 2nd and 3rd look. And typically it is not Mohamed Sanu who is going to get the deep shots, but occasionally you like to make sure that defense is looking at all possibilities.
Up to the 23-yard line goes Devontae Freeman as we approach the halfway mark of the 3rd quarter. You know, you take a look at these Buccaneers. There's Winston awaiting his turn. We mentioned at the top, horrible at home. You go back to 09, they are by far the worst at home in the National Football League by a mile. They're 17-42 in this stadium.
And this state loves some football now, and it's been the entire state of Florida that hasn't won a lot of games in the past few years.
Well, the Jags and the Dolphins are right there with them. 3rd and 6, and that is caught, and Sanu will keep on trucking out to the 43-yard line.
Now, this is not the first time that Mohamed Sanu this year has run like a fullback. I mean, he simply can't be tackled on occasion. We've seen this in multiple games coming off that left side, and watch him. They're going to get some shots at him, and safety's going to take a shot. Bradley McDougal. That is one issue, I think, for this Buccaneers defense. They're eventually going to have to find that box safety to come up there for themselves.
Ryan rolling and throwing on the run, and that is caught, and Taylor Gabriel will get spun out of bounds in front of the Tampa Bay bench.
Boy, that was all right, but Justin Hardy was behind everybody on that play. Right up here, he was going to score a touchdown. They have gotten Grimes a couple of times fooled looking at that underneath coverage and got away with one there.
Hardy has not even been targeted tonight.
Oh gosh. You know, it's one thing to forget the snap count late. It's another to forget it early. The only person moving that time was Alex Mack. Whoops.
Did a great job, did Mack, with a bad teams through the years in Cleveland. And finally, he'd had enough. After 7 years in Cleveland, comes over here.
Yeah, he's really picked it up. He's 12 total pressures this year. Wasn't quite that good last year, but see, not one person on the entire offense moved. It's one of those, you hike it on one and it's on two.
Lost the 3 on the play, second down and 13. Caught again. This is Hooper, the rookie tight end, to the 19, and another Falcon first down.
There they go. They're starting to rotate back to the middle, and that's when those seam routes are going wide open right down the middle. They've had about 3 or 4 shots at these and finally scored 1 touchdown on it and come right back to it and make another play here. If they can get their running game going, which they have, Atlanta's done that, it's going to create opportunities for them to hit those seam routes.
Falcons with 23 first downs. The Bucs have 11. Yardage is almost 2-1. And this is Sanu taking it to the 11-yard line. Meanwhile, Ryan along the way over 300 yards. When he went over 200, that was the 48th consecutive game over 200 yards. That's 3 full seasons worth. And that's an NFL record. He eclipsed the mark formerly held by our good buddy Dan Fouts a couple of weeks ago.
Dan Fouts put up 300 on everybody.
Yeah, but this was 200. Yeah.
Jeez.
Second down and 2 from the 12. Through the middle, Ward. And he takes it to the 5, and that will move the change again. And the Atlanta Falcons have gained 390 yards in less than 3 quarters.
Well, I think this Tampa defense is getting borderline exhausted. Watch this double team right here. They're just going to take Gerald McCoy and move him straight backwards.
And then they come out of huddle. Well, remember, that defense is on the field last week for 73. The game was 73 minutes. Over 90 snaps. I mean, they are like the Aroldis Chapman of the NFL right now.
Yeah, let's give the Atlanta Falcons coaching staff some credit for realizing that. They've been in and out of this no-huddle offense. The offensive line now is really beginning to take over, and Quan Alexander being out of the game, just fatigue setting in on that defensive line.
54th play for Atlanta coming here. 3 minutes to go in the quarter. And on second and goal, they're going to throw the fade, and there's Jones, and good luck trying to stop that. Touchdown. So finally he gets a red zone touchdown as he works on the rookie Hargraves and takes him to school for the score.
Well, if you ever played basketball, you understand the concept, right? You go down, a bigger guy is going to get rebound position, jump up in the air, get your feet down. It's a great job by Julio Jones, because if Hargraves had been able to push him out of bounds, would have been incomplete. But he got those feet down.
8 catches now for Julio Jones tonight. So Atlanta begins to break it open. And Bryant for the extra point. Atlanta Falcons up in the 30s again. What else is new? 3 minutes remaining in the quarter. 33-14 Falcons. Joe Glazer, the co-chairman, he and his brothers are running the team. The late Malcolm Glazer, of course, bought the team many, many years ago and guided this team to some good years and, of course, some lean ones as well, as they've now finished in the basement of the division for 5 consecutive seasons. And right now, an uphill battle as you're down by 19 on Thursday night. Thursday Night Football is being brought to you by Lexus. Raymond James Stadium next week. That'll be the start of week number 10 in the National Football League. We'll go to Baltimore, where the Ravens will be hosting the Cleveland Browns on Thursday Night Football. From the 25-yard line, Tampa Bay Bucs got off to a hot start tonight. Since then, not a heck of a lot. Peyton Barber, the rookie, takes it to the 28-yard line. It'll be 2nd down and 7 for Dirk Cutter's squad.
You know, it's so tough when anytime you're on a short week and then you lose your signal caller inside there, and Joe Holly and Evan Smith's come in, and we've really not seen the same sort of continuity on that offensive line. A couple of missed assignments, and you certainly don't want to blame it on Evan Smith, but it's just different, you know, short week, and there just is not enough time to prepare anyway.
3 days rest after a brutal overtime loss to Oakland. And that is caught by Mike Evans, who had a big first half with 7 catches for 77. That is his first grab of this half.
Yeah, and that's the first time we've seen them really go after Jalen Collins, who is Desmond Trufant's replacement. I thought we would see that much earlier just to check him out. Jalen Collins suspended the first 4 games, PED suspension, had 0 defensive snaps coming into tonight. And they let at least a good quarter go by without really challenging him.
Winston 14 of 22 for 150. And he just has to dump that one off. And the Falcons are contending that it should be grounding. But for a change, there is no flag. Receiver in the vicinity. There is Raheem Morris, who now is on the Atlanta staff, assistant head coach, coaches the wide receivers, and he was the head coach here after John Gruden left.
They went back and forth between these two organizations.
2nd and 10, deep downfield and a little too deep for Mike Evans, who cannot one-hand it. It'll be 3rd and 10. You know, of course, you're talking about the Atlanta defense trying to get better. One thing about Atlanta right now, they're going to play this game tonight. Then they don't play again until a week from Sunday. Then they have a bye week. This team is going to play 1 game in the next 23 days. 1.
We'll see more than that.
like 11.
Hey, Sprinter 44.
3rd and 10. You're funny.
Yeah.
From the 42. Winston.
Wow.
There's that one-handed catch. What a grab. But Evans gets whacked. So he couldn't make the one-hander on the play before. And somehow, some way, look at this one. Not only a one-handed catch, but to absorb that blow and take it all the way to the ground.
He's got to get his feet down, but what a catch. Odell Beckham would be proud of that one. Holy cow, what a catch. To have to spin around, and that's the thing that you just love about Mike Evans. Most big guys aren't that agile. This guy, holy smokes, and to take that hit and to hold on.
That was Keanu Neal, who was named after Keanu Reeves. True, who delivered that blow. And Peyton Barber will take the ball inside the 40-yard line.
You know, one thing you'd love to see, and obviously this is a building process for Dirk Cutter, but when your best players are as competitive as Mike Evans, to go up and make that play, we know Jameis Winston's going to fight through everything, but this is a good sign. You do something like that and then take that hit and then hold on, and the whole offense, the whole team gets perked up a bit.
Highlight reel play. 2nd down and 6 now. Final minute of the 3rd quarter. Protection. And that pass is caught by Peyton Barber. He is stopped inbounds. That wide receiver class of 2014, they're the 2 guys up front there. Most receiving yards out of that group. Beckham, 33.85, and Evans at 28.52. Odell with 28 touchdowns, and Evans with 21, including 2 tonight.
Yeah, both of them have a 3-finger catch now.
One with Mordecai Brown. And that will take us to the end of the 3rd quarter. We played 3 on this Thursday night on the Florida Gulf Coast. It is 33-14 Falcons. Tampa, Michaels, Collinsworth, and Heather Cox with you, and there's the medical folks going over the replay of that shot taken by Evans. And he came out, and right now he is out on 4th and 1 as we start the 4th quarter. And they're going to pick up the first down here as Peyton Barber, but a flag is thrown. So let's wait and see.
Holding. Offense. Number 74. 10-yard penalty. Replay 4th down.
2nd-year guard Ali Marpet.
That's a big one. Obviously, Marpet probably their best right there. They have great eyesight.
Well, 75 yards of penalties. Mike Evans now comes back into the game on a 4th and 11 from the Atlanta 43-yard line. Whoops. And over the middle, pass is too high, incomplete, no flag, and 4th down. So they turn it over on downs, and the Falcons up 33-14 here in Tampa. And Thursday Night Football is brought to you by Bud Light. Make the right call and drink responsibly. And by Courtyard, the official hotel of the NFL. Leroy Selman, one of the original Bucs, the late Leroy, and his name, the centerpiece of the Ring of Honor, right at the 50-yard line here at Raymond James Stadium. Atlanta now from the 43-yard line. Beginning of this drive, and they're 4 yards shy, maybe 6 yards shy of a 400-yard night. And Devontae Freeman will take care of most of that as he gets to the 49. Halftime ceremony here. John Lynch, very popular here, obviously, and they put his name up in lights. Warren Sapp is here. There's Mr. Lynch. Pretty good names up on that Ring of Honor, including Doug Williams. Derek Brooks is up there. Mike Allstott, Selman, of course, and the original coach of this team, John McKay.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, we saw his son, Rich.
Yeah.
So this is going to be close to a first down for Freeman. You saw Rich McKay, who's longtime executive with the Falcons. His father was John McKay. John comes in here, coaches the team after a spectacular career at USC. And that's the year they go 0-14. And I guess toward the end of the season, he's talking to a bunch of writers and broadcast people. And somebody said, well, what do you think of your team's execution? He goes, I'm all for it.
Still, maybe the greatest line of all time.
John McKay had a lot of great lines, a lot of them. From the 47-yard line, and a little trickery and deceit, and that will get you everywhere. To Sanu, fakes 2 handoffs, and Mohamed Sanu takes the ball to the 23-yard line, and Ryan's big night continues. He's now thrown for 341 yards.
Well, watch the play fake. It's really the key, because if those linebackers hold, it's going to give Sanu plenty of time to get in behind those linebackers. No chance they're dropping in to a zone that deep. It is just anything he wants to do right now. Matt Ryan, 3 touchdowns tonight, 22 this year, already ahead of what he had all season last year with 21. They're just on game 9.
Bringing the fullback to Marco to provide some leverage for Freeman, who bounces it to the outside. And Devontae Freeman has a first down, taking the ball to the 12-yard line. And Mr. Freeman on his way to another good night as well. That's 14 carries for 67 yards.
The first jump cut's good. The second one's better. Woo! That is tough. When you are basically gone. I remember talking to defenders who used to have to play against Barry Sanders, and they said that you would go up and you would close your eyes and there was just nothing there. It was like tackling a ghost, and that's exactly what we saw from Devontae Freeman there.
First down at the 12. And Freeman again takes that ball to the 7-yard line off a DeMarco block. 2nd and 5. So we showed you that graphic before about most completions in the first 9 years. And there you have it. So Mr. Ryan at 31-31 along with Peyton Manning, and Matt only has 7 1/4 more games to break it. I think he's going to do it.
I feel like pizza now.
2nd and 5 from the 7. Freeman, and he gets spilled at the 1, and that'll move the change again with clock going down to 11 minutes and change. 1st and goal. That's 29 first downs tonight for Atlanta.
Watch Levitre right here. See this movement, the stunt, the hard inside stunt by McCoy, and just take him straight down. Left a huge gaping hole in there. This offensive line's doing a job tonight. Buccaneers, I think, are worn out.
Alexander, who was hurt late in the first half, he's back in. 1st and goal.
There's a play, not that worn out.
Alexander actually right there making the tackle on Mr. Freeman, and it will be 2nd down and goal.
There we go. There's Quan Alexander. Watch him decipher what's happening in front of him and find a way right into the hole. Used to be a running back in the early days, and he sort of plays linebacker like that. But I tell you, this time the Atlanta Falcons did not run sideways in this game to get Alexander going. They ran right at this bunch.
Running back is Teron Ward. Will roll to the right, and Ryan will flip it and have it batted back. Bradley McDougald staying right with him and batting it backwards, so it'll be 3rd down and goal.
Yeah, Ryan tried to draw McDougald to him and then was just going to lob it up over the top. You can see him, watch him come up and just try and bloop it over the top, but these guys are too good athletes for that. They all have about 40-something vertical jumps. It seems like everybody we talked to him where I said, when did you start dunking? 8th grade. 8th grade is when everybody in the NFL started dunking.
Eat your Wheaties. 3rd and goal. Ryan fires, and that is caught for a touchdown by Austin Hooper. Matt Ryan throws his 4th touchdown pass of the night.
Just a little fake rub, just get it close, but don't pick them and set it up for this inside move. I really like that by Mohamed Sanu. That's smart football. You run out there and you bang right into that guy, and you're going to get the flag thrown. You get out there and just disrupt him a bit, going to give Hooper a chance to come inside, and that's what touchdown number 4 now for Matt Ryan, who is on a roll.
Ties his career high. He's done that 5 other times. Going for 343 tonight. His phenomenal year continues. Bryant for the point after. And Atlanta has rolled up 40 points for a team averaging 33, 40-14. Atlanta. Speaking of elections, there's the Pro Bowl election. You can vote now for the Pro Bowl game, which this year will be played up the road in Orlando. NFL.com/Pro Bowl. And vote today. The three guys who are no strangers to the Pro Bowl: Ryan Jones and Gerald McCoy. So Ryan has just about cemented his spot. Jones as well. Ryan to kick off with the score 40-14. And we have 9:56 remaining as the Falcons try to extend their record to 6 up and 3 down. Thursday Night Football presented by Bud Light, here with your team on it. Tampa. First Thursday night of the month of November. Buccaneers got off to a hot start tonight, but since then it's been just about all Atlanta. And Winston will throw it over the middle, caught, 5-yard gain. Mike James making the catch there, and they'll hurry it up here. Keanu Neal makes the tackle. 2nd down and 5 at the 30-yard line. Overshoots the intended receiver. 3rd and 5.
Next gen stats presented by Mercedes-Benz, and we've talked about it a little bit. The fact that Keanu Neal basically is that guy that was supposed to be Cam Chancellor, and once he gets around that line of scrimmage, it doesn't take long for either of those guys to come up and make a pop. We have seen that already in this game. Keanu Neal, exactly what Dan Quinn wanted on that defense.
3rd and 5, and Winston over the middle. Mike Evans, and he will pad those stats. If you got him in your fantasy league, you're having a good night. Evans has now caught 10 for 135. That's a 28-yarder there, and he scored twice, and he needs to come out of the game. Or no, not coming out, just going over to the other side.
That's a good way to get open. Just come out and give him a shove. You're that big and that strong, why not?
Throw in the middle again to the 36-yard line. That's Mike James making the catch here. And that will make it 2nd down and 4 after a pickup of 6.
I don't think there's any question, though, that the Buccaneers are going to have to add weapons to this offense. And they lost so much with all these running backs, but they need a complimentary wide receiver and a tight end.
And here's Evans coming out of the game. Could you explain to me how a team can only win 28% of its games at home in a 7-year period?
Not very good. That's the reason you get the first overall pick in the draft, and Dirk Cutter knows it. You know, he knows he's got to build it from the bottom up. He thinks he has a player in Jameis Winston, but he has been erratic as well. We've seen it here tonight. You know, we've seen some throws go sailing over receivers' heads, and then we see spectacular plays. A little more consistency out of him as well.
3rd and 4. Winston able to extend the play long enough to find the open man. That's Evans, who would come back into the game after missing one play. And he takes it to the 21-yard line on what would be catch number 11 for him.
Mike Evans is exhausted. And you could see he was trying to giddy up and go there, and there was just no giddy up left.
Let's go. And to the corner. And Evans almost pulled that one in. But there's a penalty. Torbert.
That would have been the slowest route ever run in the NFL for a touchdown if he'd have caught that one. It was everything he could do to get.
Offense, number 13, 10-yard penalty, replay 1st down.
Slowed himself down.
There he is right there. You can see the difference. He's just trying to make it down the field. And when he got close to the football, he just gave it a little shove. And Alfred's saying, come on now. I know he's great. Let's not give him that. And they didn't.
And Evans, who was trying to get out of the game, finally does. He goes back to the bench. It's 1st down and 20 after the penalty. Winston fires, and that is not caught at the 19-yard line. Incomplete there.
One of those rookies. Devondre Campbell there making that play.
rate the intended receiver. Tonight for Evans, who had 99 receiving yards and a touchdown on opening day in Atlanta, and 11 catches tonight. And of course, this was some beauty.
Our guys are making catches now that we would have never even tried back in the day.
Exactly. And without Stickum. 2nd and 20. Caught at the 21-yard line. It's the gloves man. Freddie Martino makes the catch.
Yeah, I don't know if it's true or not, but somebody told me one time they had a glove. They took it to the NFL offices and they held their hand straight out to the side and they threw the ball and it stuck. I would like to have a flypaper glove.
Shook hands with somebody and couldn't get it away. Third and 11, and that's going to be a sack. And Atlanta tonight, with Claiborne getting the sack, that would be the 3rd sack of the night for Atlanta, and they now have more sacks already this season than they had all of last year. That'll be 21. They had 19 all of last season.
I tell you, Adrian Claiborne has made some nice moves. They really have stepped it up between Vic Beasley and Adrian Claiborne. They now have the rushers they didn't have a season ago.
Game on NFL Network tonight. Mike Vick, the game's most electrifying player until a dark secret rocked the football world. The Football Life with Mike Vick. Tonight after the postgame only on NFL Network. It's 4th and 16 now as Winston escapes, fires. That's going to be caught. And it will extend the drive on a 4th down as Cecil Shorts makes the grab.
Really, the last couple of weeks, the thing that we've seen out of Jameis Winston that he's doing the best is sort of the opposite of the kind of player he was in college. Some of these movement plays, and his guys get into those scramble drills.
And that's going to be caught for a touchdown by Adam Humphries. A 4th down conversion to Shorts, and then Humphries sets the signal off for the cannons out of the pirate ship, and Humphries has his first touchdown of the season.
Here's Winston on the scramble drill that's going to set it up. Come out here, off balance throw. He can throw that ball going any direction. Perfectly done. Nice catch by Shorts. And then this one, right on the money, low and away. Only his guy can get it. Humphries comes down with the touchdown. You get the flashes of the great and the #1 pick. Then there's some of the other stuff too.
2-point conversion attempt coming. And Winston will roll and try to get in. And gets whacked at the 1-yard line.
Guess who?
Does not get in, and that is Jalen Collins coming in there, and of course Neal is in the picture as well. And Winston comes off limping a little bit.
Finds you Cam Newton shot a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Sean O'Neal.
It's fair game right there.
Jalen Collins.
Thursday Night Football brought to you by Verizon. Join a better network because better matters. And by Pepsi. Every football moment deserves a celebration breakout. The Pepsi. Chris, take a look at that. Opened in 1956. Burns Steakhouse.
There we go.
They only have 500,000 bottles in that cellar.
Had dinner there the other night.
Yeah, been there many times through the years. The fabled eatery. Meanwhile, Mr. Winston took a shot at the end of that play, so he's going to need some attention over on the sideline. Their next game is a week from Sunday. They get Chicago coming in here. And Atlanta expecting the onside kick with 6:47 remaining in the 4th quarter.
Be interesting to see if Jameis Winston could go if they recover it.
So Aguayo sends it down, and it is collected, and Sanu is able to grab it right there. Take a look now. There's Winston on the sideline, and here's what happened to him.
I mean, this is a shot. Sometimes you just get in an odd position and the guy gets a freebie on you.
Ooh, yeah. It is not a promising sight for your Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Short weeks are tough.
Well, at least they don't have to play for 10 days. Their backup quarterback is Mike Lennon, who has a fairly good amount of experience.
There you go.
And this drive begins with a Teron Ward to the 41-yard line. Well, week 9, you got Ben Roethlisberger. Will he or won't he play? Steelers won 7 without Ben, starting against the Ravens. So you got those two teams meeting. Great rivalry, of course. Eagles and the Giants they go back a million years, and the winner of that game is going to be in a heck of a lot better shape than the loser, because they're each 4-3, with the Eagles having won the last 4 meetings. And then our game on Sunday night, a blast from the past. It's the Broncos and the Raiders. Of course, the Broncos have held up their end over the past few years, and the Raiders look like they are finally back to being a primary contender.
Khalil Mack and company, we got a chance to watch a lot of that tape. We played Tampa Bay last week, and my goodness gracious.
Derek Carr's having a fantastic season. And this is Stephen Ridley, taking it to the 33. And, you look at that game, and there are 2 of the original American Football League franchises in Denver and in Oakland. It's hard to believe. I mean, the last time Oakland got to postseason, they played Tampa Bay in the Super Bowl. And you're going back to 2002, and Tampa Bay ran away with it. So who was the Tampa Bay quarterback in that game, remember?
Rich Gannon.
No,
Tampa Bay.
He was the Oakland quarterback.
Yeah, Brad Johnson.
Very good.
Oh, sure. Thank gosh.
Very good. Brand San Brad is in the stadium tonight. Give you a little bit more Tampa Bay trivia here in a second.
Warren Sapp. Like Jeopardy or something.
Stephen
Who
Ridley
is?
Meanwhile, Ryan, right, very much in the MVP conversation, as we know. Right there, and that's the season, 23-4. It's a pretty good ratio at 6-1. He's never had a rating over 100 for a full season. He's way up above that right now at 70%.
But you got to catch Tom Brady right now, who has been utterly perfect since he's returned.
All right, here comes your trivia question after a 2nd down and 13. I'll take you over to Burns Steakhouse if they're still open if you get this. Stephen Ridley. So who would hold the Tampa Bay record for most touchdown passes? And this comes from Andy Freeland, your man, who gave me a little heads up on this before. Name him. Career.
Trent Dilfer.
Nope.
Steve Spurrier.
Nope.
Doug Williams.
Nope.
I forget it. Brad Johnson.
Nope.
Really?
Nope.
Jameis Winston. I'm out of quarterback.
At some point.
Benny Testaverde.
No. You got them all same ones I picked before.
Hold on.
Yep. Of recent vintage too. 3rd and 10. Set up a screen. Gabriel gets pushed out of bounds.
It's pathetic.
It isn't pathetic. How about Josh Freeman? That's the answer.
Really?
Yes, it is. Unless Andy was lying to me, right? Andy said it was in their press release. Okay, so we'll know who to blame if it wasn't. Here's a 50-yard field goal attempt coming up for Bryant.
Andy's going to get mentioned one time in 20 years.
There you go. And that kick is good. Bryant's only missed 1 kick this year at the age of 41, and that was a 58-yarder at the end of regulation against San Diego. 43-20. Total Access, it's the only live nightly show dedicated to the NFL. Mike Vick opens up about his road to redemption tomorrow. Total Access, 7 Eastern time on NFL Network. Tampa Bay. Home of the Bucs. Rays across the bay in St. Pete. And the Tampa Bay Lightning. And we go to heaven.
Well, Jameis Winston walking very gingerly on his right knee. He got evaluated. Right now, the Bucs are calling him questionable. They said that Mike Glennon was warming up. They are unsure whether or not he can return. Also, an update on wide receiver Mike Evans. They did a balance test, eye tracking earlier and minutes ago, was escorted to the locker room and is being evaluated for a concussion.
All right, thank you, Heather. And I think it would be silly to bring Winston back into the game right now, even though he has his helmet on. So Glennon's in the game. He's down 23 points with 3.5 to play. Catch made here by Anton Smith.
Yeah, I think Jameis Winston's parents would vote with you.
Yep.
Enough is enough. He's never going to give up. He talked about his dad instilling all those sort of virtues to never give up, never give up, never give up. That was their motto. This time it's time to give up.
Up to the 42-yard line goes Anton Smith. And he needs an extra moment.
You know, you just can't get over the fact that they lost all these star running backs. And this is an offense that really is not built to drop back and throw the ball all the time. They're built to run the football, and they're built to play action, and Dirk Cutter has been left with the rest.
We're built to take a break. So here we go on Sunday night. We're off to the Bay Area, where it's Denver against Oakland. Coverage begins with football night at 7 Eastern time. So each team is 6-2. Broncos, of course, are the reigning champions. Trevor Siemian doing a very nice job at quarterback. You got Derek Carr, you got the black hole, you got a lot of stuff going on, and of course it's a blast from the past because those teams have played so many phenomenal games over the years.
And there's just raw emotion in that stadium. You know, there's so many things going on. Are they staying? Are they going? The black hole is back. The crowd is crazy. It's just going to be one of those atmospheres that takes you back to another era when it was just so passionate in that division. I loved watching those Raider games. Can't you just remember game after game? And of course, John and all the great teams that he had. It'll be fun.
Fred Biletnikoff, I think, is going to be in the lineup too on
there we go
on Sunday night.
I love Fred Biletnikoff.
Yeah.
Florida State guy.
Yeah, there you go. Oh. Wide receiver, angular. Anton Smith is the injured Buck, so not a good ending tonight in any sense, with your quarterback going out, your leading receiver hobbling off, and there's Winston on the sideline, and now you got Anton Smith, one of the few healthy running backs in this Tampa Bay stable right now. And that'll be a short gain right here for the tight end, Brait.
I'll tell you, Vic Beasley's doing it all tonight, isn't he? Dropping back in coverage now. And when he takes off, he just has a gear to him. You know, we thought last year we were going to see some of those explosive plays out of him, but now it's 6.5 sacks, and they're starting to use him in different ways. They use him as like a linebacker lurking around and then delayed blitzes, and he is becoming that X factor on that defense.
Second and 7 and a 3-man rush, and Glennon fires, and that'll be caught, and that is enough for a first down to Adam Humphries.
Isn't it interesting, too, that Dan Quinn is sort of building this Seattle South, that this defense now is starting to look more and more like that? And if you can remember back in the day, all those guys that are superstars now kind of came in at the same time, and they grew up together, and they stayed in the same system, and it started to work, and it got better. And that's what they're trying to do here in Atlanta now.
There's Quinn in Seattle for several years, and staying on his feet and picking up the first down is Adam Humphries as we come down very close to the 2-minute warning. Glennon's 5 for 5 in his sub roll, and Smith, who, well, he would have been the number 4 or 5 running back when things began, but Doug Martin's out, Jacquizz Rodgers is out, Charles Sims is out. So you go to Smith, Mike James, and Peyton Barber, and they are really struggling at that spot. Glennon a perfect 6 for 6 on a short throw to Peyton Barber. And that takes us to the 2-minute warning. With the score, the Atlanta Falcons 43 and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 20. Right after the game, the Mazda post-game show, Heather will be down on the field, and she will be interviewing Julio Jones, and then Matt Ryan will be on the set with Rich Eisen, Marshall Faulk, Michael Irvin, and Steve Mariucci coming up right after the game. And there are the big numbers put up tonight by the big three for the Falcons. Meanwhile, second down and 6, and that's the first incomplete pass that Lennon has thrown. Intended for Barber. It'll be third down and 6.
Keanu Neal is saying, I just saved you. He ran right by him, could have easily taken the shot. Look at him smiling. He turned right around and said, you know what? I just saved you. This ball is going to be tipped. And he's going to come flying up there, and he just backed off of it. Then he turned around and said, you're welcome.
Very, very collegial. Third and 6 at the 30-yard line. And Lennon throws, and that's going to move the chains again. Complete to Brait to the 17-yard line.
I'll tell you that Devondre Campbell is a guy that keep an eye on this year. He's had a sprained ankle. He missed a bunch of weeks 2 through 5, but he is sort of a pure cover guy when healthy. And I just think that that speed along with Deion Jones is going to give them a chance to do some things in man coverage that they haven't been able to do yet because neither one of those inside linebackers have been completely healthy.
There's 3 guys up front rushing. Made, slung down. Jones slings down the receiver after a short gain. Peyton Barber. Second down and 6 after a pickup of 4. 90 seconds to play.
Let's go.
And over the middle, trying to work his way into the end zone is Barber, but he's stopped at the 2. It'll be first down and goal.
It's when those defensive coordinators go crazy. They hate giving up these late points and statistics.
Yep. To the outside. Yeah, in garbage time, they give up a touchdown. It's Cameron Brait, who has caught 5 balls tonight. That's the 4th passing touchdown of the game. Winston had 3. The Cannons fire away, and they go for 2.
Now, Cameron Brait does a nice job catching the ball. He really does not let many escape him that are close. It's a guy that somebody they can build around a bit. Has clearly become their #1 option as a pass receiving tight end.
Lennon for the 2-point conversion, and he's going to get that to Brandon Myers. So once again, we started the game by telling you the average score of an Atlanta game this season was Atlanta 33 and the opposition 29. That's 62 points per game. And tonight it's 43-28.
There we go. Coming right across the field here. Big collision. A little mushy. Found his way over there for 2.
George Hill, you know anybody who went under tonight? You can't do that, right? So 43-28, 71 total points in the game. Atlanta has 10 possessions in the game, 5 TDs, 3 field goals, so they've scored on 8. Lost 1 fumble, and they only had a punt 1 time tonight. And Dirk Cutter will have his team lick its wounds after playing over 13 minutes of overtime, giving up a zillion yards to Oakland. And they're going to go to 0-4 here in this ballpark.
I just think the reality set in tonight, don't you? That several of those guys playing 100 plays in that game, turn around 4 days later in the middle of the season. It just, you know, just reality.
Yeah, and there was a leaky defense to begin with. And it's going to be collected at the 44-yard line by Hooper. One thing about this this division, look at that. Points per game this season. Falcons 1, Saints 2, Panthers 4th. And the Bucs a little bit below the norm. And then in points allowed, all 4 of them.
It's like the chicken or the egg, right?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Is it great offense or not so great defense? And
yep.
But it's a fun division to watch.
Those are the bottom feeders right there. But right now Atlanta has, with Matt Schaub finishing up the game. Here's tonight's another trivia thing for you. If you wear a single digit for Atlanta, there are 4 guys active tonight. What's your first name?
Matt.
And then somebody told me on the practice squad is Phil's son, who is named Matt Sims.
Right.
He's got like number 2 or something. So now you got 5 guys.
Yeah, and you've got Phil Sims' birthday today.
Oh,
His
yeah.
First night off on Thursday night, perfectly timed.
Yep.
Happy birthday, Phil.
At the age of
87.
And that's going to wrap it up here in Tampa, FLA, as the Falcons trailed early, but not often. And the final score was 43-28. At one point, actually, Tampa was up 14-13. But the Atlanta Falcons are on a roll. Third time they've had 40 or more in a game. Coming up, it'll be the Mazda postgame show. Rich Marshall, Michael Irvin, Steve Mariucci wrapping it up. Been watching Thursday Night Football presented by Bud Light.